listening to Rootbound, a podcast about plants for when you're stuck inside.
This episode of Rootbound is brought to you by Summer Vacation! Okay, that's all I'm saying, because I'm on summer vacation.
Hi everybody, thank you for listening to this episode of Rootbound. I am the host of this podcast, and my name is Steve, and Rootbound is the podcast about plants for when you're stuck inside. Each week, I invite a guest who joins me on the show to share with us all about a plant that means something to them, and then I share with the guest about a plant that means something to me, and through this process, we can all learn more about plants and learn more about each other. But as you have heard, this is a little bit of a special episode. I'm going to be taking a few weeks of summer vacation. It's summertime. It's time to take a little bit of a break. Also, I've had kind of a very busy schedule. As you heard a few episodes ago, I was in Switzerland. When I got back, I got food poisoning. It was something else. But anyway, I need a little bit of time to recover and recoup. But don't worry, I'm not going to leave you in the lurch for fun facts and dazzling details about plants. We're going to do some shorter episodes like we've been doing in some of these kind of seasonal breaks here the last few times. So thank you for bearing with me and bearing with the show, and keep tuning in. We've got some really cool stuff coming up in the works that I'm planning, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So what are we going to talk about on this first summer vacation episode of Rootbound? Well, let's talk about summer. And I learned something today that I kind of can't believe I made it to 40 without really understanding this, but I have clarified a few things for myself regarding summer, and I thought I would share that with you, the audience of the show. So the question is, what is summer, and when does summer start? Now, it's summer, pretty obviously, it's when it's the hottest part of the year. It's I guess the quarter of the year where it is the hottest. That's just one definition, though. And it gets complicated. So some people might say, oh, well, summer starts on June 21st because that is when the summer solstice occurs. And it goes between the summer solstice and the fall equinox is when summer is. But other people will say, well, June 21st is pretty late in June. It's already really hot here. It feels like summer in June. School's out already in this area, right? So that definition of summer is a little bit amorphous. So let's define a few specific ways to define summer. First is what I mentioned at the beginning, which is meteorological, that's the word, meteorological summer, and that is when you do it by temperature. And so in general, and this changes from place to place, but in general, in the United States, that is the hottest 3 months of the year are June, July, and August. Pretty obvious, those are the summer months. But that's going to shift a little bit depending on where you are and certain climatic things. And so, for example, I went back and looked at some NOAA data about the temperatures where I live here in Northern Virginia, and it seems that the start of summer for the last 10 years on average has been around June 13th. So this episode's coming out technically slightly before the start of summer, at least in this area, but there's been times when summer started earlier or later. It's basically looking at that 90-ish day window when it is the hottest, and that is meteorological summer. Then we can talk about astronomical summer, and this is the one relating to the solstice. So, the Earth goes around the sun. We all know that. But the Earth is also tilted, right, slightly. And that is what causes the seasons, is the tilt of the Earth. And so if you imagine something where the tilt is tilted towards or away from the sun, the part of the Earth that's tilted more towards the sun is going to get more direct rays of the sun, and therefore will be hotter, and the parts that are not as tilted towards the sun will be getting more indirect rays and will be colder. It's a little bit hard to describe in this audio format, but look up some pictures. It makes a lot of sense. But that kind of progression of what part of the Earth is tilted most towards the sun at any given time is what causes the seasons. And the point when it's most tilted in the northern hemisphere towards the Earth is the start of summer, That is the solstice. And then the winter solstice is when it's most tilted away, and then the equinox is when it's basically in the middle. So that is astronomical summer. But this is a plant podcast, and yes, seasons have to do with plants, but let's talk about a more specific plant-based definition of summer, and that would be phenological summer. Do you remember the word phenology? We've talked about it a few times on the show. That is this study of using natural phenomenon to track time. So like, when did the cherry blossoms blossom this year? That is a phenological observation. And plants have their own seasonality to them, and they change throughout the year. But the thing is with phenological summer is it really varies plant to plant, right? Not every plant does the same thing at the same time. So it's not as well defined as meteorological summer or astronomical summer. And it really is from plant to plant. But there is a really amazing website, which I've mentioned before, but I've just been digging into it more, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with this site. It's really great. I highly suggest you check it out. It is called the National Phenology Network. And it's a really great resource for learning about phenology, but also looking at phenological data. And you can look at, for example, what date on average do certain trees leaf out in your area. And you can look at maps, and you can look at charts, and you can look at all this data gathered by lots of different people to add to this phenological database of our natural world. And you can also contribute to it at this website, which is really cool. So if you want to get the sense of phenological summer for any given species in your area, this is a great place to do it. And then I did find something just Googling around of a particular phenological calendar from Germany, which, like I said, this is going to change depending on where you are. So this is definitely not the case here in Northern Virginia. But in this phenological calendar, which kind of goes back some ways, they have the year broken up into 10 different seasons. So there's winter, which is kind of one big block, but then they have early spring, mid-spring, late spring, early summer, high summer, late summer, early fall, full fall, and late fall, and then winter. And so those 10 different kind of seasons they have broken up based off of what different plants are doing at different times. So, for example, according to this, assessment of phenological calendar in Germany, the hazel is blooming in early spring. And then in April, which is mid-spring, the forsythia flowers and the gooseberries unfold their leaves. So these are the kinds of things that you observe phenologically to understand like what part of the year you're in. And so, for example, early summer is when they say the black elderberry is in bloom. And right now at my house, I have not black elderberry, but American elderberry, and those are in full bloom. So I will say, and that's been like that for a few days now. So I say phenologically, at least according to my elderberries, we are in early summer. So I think that's a pretty cool way to think about the seasons. We can look at it from a weather standpoint, temperature-based. We can look at it from this astronomical standpoint. But we can also look at it from the perspective of the plants, which is, I think, a really cool way to do it. And yeah, that's some fun facts about summer. And I think that's a good way to wrap up this episode of Rootbound. And as you might have noticed recently, I'm kind of really into creating imaginary songs from the past about concepts we talk about on the show using some of these new AI tools. So let's listen to the fake song, Phenological Summer, to close out this episode. Talk to you on the next one.
Sunflowers reach for the sky and the goldenrod waves as we pass by. Butterflies dance on warm sunny days. That's when summer's here to stay. Phenological summer, nights so warm, swinging softly in your arms. Melodies are sweet and true. In this summer, I'm in love with you. lovers sigh like a gentle breeze. We'll dance until the stars align. Underneath the heavens, you're mine. Phenological summer, nights so warm, swinging softly in your arms. Melodies are sweet and true. In this summer, I'm in love with you.
Hey, not normal credits on this special summer vacation episode of the show, but the music is by Christian Kriegesgota and Fake Ads by David Lonnie. Thank you so much for listening. Rootbound is a podcast about plants for when you're stuck inside, but if you can go outside, enjoy phenological summer.
Still on summer vacation.